Hey folks, it's Kevin. This video is very special to me as I get to share with you my recent experience in buying a home in today's wild housing market. I'll also share with you how much I paid for the home, what it was like competing with other buyers, and what my outlook is on the real estate market moving forward. Let's get into it. After keeping my eyes and ears open for months of looking for property, I finally found one in a neighborhood that I absolutely love, which was Eastlake 1. For those of you not familiar with communities within Chula Vista, Eastlake 1 is the first developed sub-community of Eastlake, built in the 1980s. The reason I was so excited to be in this neighborhood is the proximity to shopping centers, my office, restaurants, as well as being right next to the lake where I can run or walk my dog. When I saw the home hit the market, I immediately reached out to the sellers to schedule a tour. Upon viewing the property, I realized it's not necessarily my style per se, and yet I could make it my own without spending an absurd amount of money on a remodel. This home is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, about 1,300 square feet, which is the ideal size for me as a single man. In addition, I intend on renting out one of the rooms and using the third room as an office space. After having a brief conversation with the agent representing the sellers, I found out how many offers they had and at what price we needed to come in at in order to be competitive. I had my business partner Thomas Valdez assist me in drafting up an offer at $750,000, which later was bid up to $765,000 by the sellers, and we ultimately received an acceptance. I was comfortable as a real estate professional bidding up to $765,000 just based on what homes had sold in the neighborhood, and I knew that the value would be good there. About 7 days later, we received the appraisal report, which reflected a value of $740,000, which meant that one of two things needed to happen. Either the sellers come down from $765,000 to $740,000 and net $25,000 less than they initially had anticipated, or I was responsible for paying $25,000 on top of the down payment and closing costs I was already responsible for. So after a couple conversations with the seller side and the listing agent, we finally agreed that we would some form of split the cost. They asked that I would pay $15,000 above the appraised value, so from $740,000 to $755,000, and the sellers would come down $10,000 to make up the difference of what was owed from $765,000 to $755,000. And so ultimately, we somewhat met in the middle. As a real estate agent, I must admit, it was painful knowing that I technically overpaid for a home, and yet I have made peace with my decision as I do foresee values continuing to appreciate in addition to the upgrades that I have made and will continue to make to the home. So if you're wondering how much I invested and what my monthly payment is, allow me to share that with you. Being that I use conventional financing, the minimum down payment requirement on a home valued at $755,000 is 5%, which worked out to about $38,000 in down payment. In addition to the down payment, I was responsible for covering my closing costs, which were about $12,000. And lastly, the appraisal bridge gap that we just talked about earlier of $15,000 was added on top of those figures, bringing my grand total to $65,000 to make this home my own. The other variable in this home purchase was interest rate volatility and fluctuations. In early January and February, when I had identified this property and gotten an acceptance, we saw my interest rate fluctuate from 2.9% to 3.5% in just a matter of days. And once it inflated to 3.5%, I said, I've had it. Let's lock the loan at 3.5 so that way it doesn't continue to affect my payment. And by doing that, I agreed to pay $4,300 a month for 30 years. In the end, I was very happy with my experience as well as the loan process in that I got a monthly payment that I'm very comfortable with, and I have somebody who's renting a room at $1,000 a month, which further brings down that liability. So I'll likely be contributing an additional $200, bringing that monthly total to $4,500. So that way I can pay down the principal balance faster and get to a 20% equity position sooner. In addition, I foresee interest rates getting better at some point in the future, and when they do, I will absolutely be refinancing to further reduce that monthly liability. With that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I trust that by sharing my personal experience, it's able to give you further insight on what you can expect when you go to purchase your home. If you found value in the video, please hit the like button, send it to a friend or a family member that may be going through a purchase right now or might be in the near future. And lastly, subscribe to my channel to stay posted on any future videos. I'll see you in the next one.